Imagine living your life after 50 and feeling energized and excited about your future. Welcome to the Women in the Middle podcast, the podcast for women who are ready to figure out what they want and create the life they deserve. Here's your host and Master Certified Life Coach, Susie Rosenstein.
Hey there, today's episode is all about becoming your own professional planner in midlife and beyond. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast Women in the Middle with over 1 million downloads and counting. I'm your host, Susie Rosenstein, your Master Certified Coach and Midlife Clarity Expert, and I am so glad to be here with you again. So I've been doing some thinking about all the stuff we're going through at our age and stage of life. Thinking is pretty important, as you know. We talk about it all the time here on the podcast. You just can't respond your way through life. Well, you can, but that's not being intentional. Being intentional is the way to go when it comes to regret-proofing your life. So yes, I've been doing some thinking. Actually, I was thinking about it in the shower this morning where I do my best thinking, and a lot of time went by. Like when I snapped out of it, like it was 20 minutes. And usually my morning shower isn't 20 minutes. So I've been, thinking about it. And when you've been around the block or two in your career, you start to see patterns. I started training for my second career as a midlife transition coach in 2014. So at the time of this recording, we're talking about 10 years ago. So as you can imagine, I've seen a thing or two, and I've learned a thing or two as well. But seriously, it's getting easier and easier to see some pretty important patterns with you and the other midlife gals that I'm fortunate enough to have in my community and as listeners to this podcast. That's why we're talking about it today. One of the patterns that's pretty consistent, planning or lack thereof. But just quick, before we have fun taking a deeper dive into this whole topic, I have something for you that will help give you more amazing information to enhance what you've been learning from this episode. So let me ask you a question. Do you sometimes feel older but not wiser? I totally get it. You usually know what you want back in the day, but something's different this time. You feel stuck in a way that's even more murky, more, just not clear. And it's so weird when you don't know what you want or how to get there. It's so unlike you. Every day feels like you're wasting valuable time just spinning and spinning in confusion. You probably wish something would change, but nothing changes or moves forward. It's like a never-ending spin cycle. Here's the thing, though. It doesn't have to be like this. You can still love your life again, and I've got just the thing to help. I created a quick 9-minute Get Unstuck in Midlife video training that will change how you see your life after 50. It'll give you lots to think about. I like to think of it as the girlfriend's guide to midlife. So you will discover the secret sauce to being happier and free as a woman in midlife. You'll also learn how to feel empowered, to have the answers you need to get excited about your next chapter. And like I said, it's free and it's for you. It's basically the inside scoop to learn to love your life again. The Get Unstuck in Midlife video training will guide you to create the life you want with clarity about getting unstuck, figuring out what you want, busting your limiting beliefs, thoughts about aging, sources of personal joy, relationships, your empty nest, fulfillment in work or in retirement, becoming the woman you want to become, and more. So to get instant access to the free video training, head over to www.midlifevideo.com and it's yours. Once again, www.midlifevideo.com. Okay, now here we go. Today's episode is all about becoming your own professional planner for midlife and beyond. Now, when I say professional planner, I don't mean for you to go out and get a designation related to urban planning or community planning or anything like that. But there is something I discovered when I looked up what a registered planner does that helped me see how relevant this analogy is. I checked out the Ontario Professional Planners Institute, and it says, professional planners' knowledge and experience support decision makers on the path to sustainably built social and natural environments. The result? Truly inspired communities. The site also goes on to talk about the importance of lifelong learning. So when I read that, wow, here's the thing. I think that you can become a professional planner of your midlife and beyond, and I think that your knowledge and experience will support your intentional decision-making on the path to a meaningful, fulfilling, and exciting next chapter. The result will be your ability to truly inspire yourself and maybe others as you intentionally create your personal roadmap to happiness. You see what I mean? There's enough in that definition that really inspired me to come up with this analogy. You can intentionally create your personal roadmap to happiness, but it's not going to happen by itself. It just won't. You too will have social and natural environments. You too can continue to make a professional contribution, and you can be a lifelong learner as you assess and evaluate your thoughts, feelings, and desires along the way. Are you with me? You can take the task of creating your future. You can take it on like a boss. As my mom says, you can be Marge in charge. You can apply your professional skills to the project at hand. You can take it seriously. I know, it sounds good on paper. Right now, however, you may not even know what you want, so it might just seem, just too much. It's just too out there. That's okay too. We can move the needle there. I have helped so many women move the needle, and I really think this episode will help you. Now, you may recall that in episode 305, I introduced the concept of your midlife operating system, basically the need to create a new set of beliefs, behaviors, and rules for the way you want to roll in midlife. I talked about 10 things you need to think about and be more intentional about going forward so your operating system for yourself works like a fine-oiled machine in midlife. The old operating system needs some tweaks. Think about it. Why would thinking about planning your next chapter now at your age be the same as it was between 20 and 40? Sure, some things are similar, but enough has changed for you to rethink a few things. Rethink the way you plan. Your career has changed, your family, your financial resources, your aging parents, your aging kids, your interests, your experience, your maybe even some credentials, your time sensitivity, your tolerance. Yes, your tolerance, your patience, your big goals, all kinds of things. The timeline has changed. Where you're looking out now, looking out at the rest of your life, it's different than it was before. Your priorities are different, your options are different, and you're different. That's why I want to review those 10 things briefly, though, because handling this stuff leads to being able to become the professional planner of your life. You will have new data and more clarity. So let's take a look. Number 1, it is important to be aware of and tighten up the disconnect between how you feel and what you do, emotional and physical. So even though you may have a youthful mindset, like I think I'm 37, that's definitely what I think about. By the way, I don't know if you're hearing my little bird Dee Dee making little noises off to the side here, but she is. So hopefully you don't hear them, but it is distracting for me. So like I was saying, even if you have a youthful mindset, some of your thoughts may not support you now at your age and stage. For example, you may not like going to bed when you're tired. That used to work for you, but now there's a disconnect. Or you may want more time in the morning before you start your day, but you always feel rushed. That's a disconnect. So remember, we're talking about tightening up that disconnect between how you feel and what you actually do. So you might be doing some of the same stuff, but it doesn't work the same way for you because of the way you feel. That's a disconnect. So start thinking about what this is for you to get insight into what you want to plan for yourself on purpose going forward. Okay, number 2, notice what you are used to doing on autopilot. Autopilot thinking is when you just do what you're used to doing, think what you're used to thinking, without the awareness that you may be thinking and doing out of habit. One of the ways that may be on autopilot is reacting or responding rather than creating. Like, for example, responding to requests of you socially rather than organizing what you want to do and leading. How aware are you of what you typically do out of habit, or maybe what you don't even want to do? When you're a professional planner of your life, your plans are loaded with stuff that you really want to do. Number 3, dreaming about what you want. Now, you may not be as clear about what you want as what you don't want at this stage of life. This one has to do with allowing yourself to dream and really imagine happiness and fulfillment. It's common not to really know what's going on here for you. You probably had a great plan for the first 20, 30, 40 years of your life. And now you've likely accomplished a lot of this stuff. So you may find yourself being tasked with actually dreaming about what you don't even believe is possible. Maybe you thought about it before and you knocked it away, or maybe you squished it down. You didn't even let the thought kind of develop or sit with it. So what this means to be able to dream, I know we use the word dream all the time, but really think about it. It means being curious about opportunities, listening to what your friends are doing, being open rather than ruling things out because you think it's too hard, it's too big, it's not for you, it's too expensive. I've heard 2 stories in my community recently like this. It was so much fun to watch what happened with these women who were not thinking about these things at all. And then it just started to come on and it started to take shape, right? It was really fun to watch. So both of these gals would have typically ruled these ideas out, and they may have even ruled them out for a variety of reasons, or not even thought about them in the first place, like not even a possibility, didn't even imagine it. But because of being primed to dream, primed to be open and to be curious, and at the same time noticing what general direction you find yourself intrigued by, you can allow yourself to just lean into it just a little bit. Just take that direction a little bit. It might mean picking up a book, or it might mean clicking on a link, or it might be asking more questions when you hear a story like this. So you want to open up your mind just a crack to what might actually be possible for you too. When you're open, you can do way more than when you're closed. So the key here is to focus on the what. What is it that I'm interested in? What is it that I might want to do? What is it that might be something that is in the realm of possibility for me, even though I'm uncomfortable as anything? Not the how, not how I'm going to do it. How am I going to pay for it? When am I going to find the time? What's it going to be like for me to do something like this? I'm afraid. I don't know, but I'm also loving the idea. You might just be going into a giant spin. All that's okay. My advice to you is not to squish a baby dream. Just let it breathe. Just allow it to sit there. You don't have to figure it out now. You don't have to focus on the how it's all going to work out. Just acknowledge and notice what you're interested in, and you'll be surprised what your mind does next. Number 4, not taking care of yourself. This is a big one. It's something that you probably want, but are you prioritizing it? And if not, why not? What are you waiting for? You might hear yourself thinking that you're too busy or it's too hard. There's those 2 thoughts come up all the time. Those are just 2 of the thoughts I hear about the most, and actually I think those a lot too. They are huge reasons why you create the result that you have, which might be that you're not getting enough sleep, for example. Maybe you're not drinking enough water. Maybe you're not moving your body the way you want to, or fueling your body in a way that is a demonstration of real self-care. You know what I mean? So women in my community have also shared that they resisted going to the bathroom when they had to because they felt too busy. I've also been guilty of this one. Can you imagine? You probably have felt that way too. So do you want to be a woman who feels too busy to go to the bathroom? Oh my gosh. Or putting off drinking water for the same reason. Like all of a sudden you're really thirsty and you're like, well, I just want to finish this thing. And then I'll go drink. Really? Then you'll go allow yourself to have a glass of water? Whatever it is for you, a professional life planner wouldn't do that. Too busy to do what? Too busy to take care of yourself? Really? Okay. We want to be doing less of that and more of honoring what it is we really want. Number 5, not being as intentional about relationships as you want to be. Now, this typically comes up about spouses, grandchildren, adult children, elderly parents, and friends. It's common to feel too busy or to simply be unaware that you need to take more intentional action as the years are flying by. The autopilot behavior comes into play here too. So think about yourself. Are you being as intentional as you want to be with your friends and family? Are you ever picking up an actual phone? Or sending a text, or at least posting a happy birthday greeting on Facebook? When somebody needs your support, are you available when somebody has to go to the hospital? Do you want to be there? Are you? Are you showing up? For whoever it is, just be intentional. Number 6, you are still putting everyone else first. This is a classic. People pleasing anyone? Does this ring a bell? You may also be in the sandwich generation, squished between the lettuce, tomato, parents, and kids. There's also boundary issues and a heaping dose of guilt that can show up too. And this one's complex because family is likely a priority, but you're asked to do a lot of things, you're expected to do a lot of things, and you expect yourself to do a lot of things. You probably even like doing a lot of things, but what's often missing is clarity around what you want to do and how you want to do it. So a solution is to plan better and minimize that gap to get you back into alignment. Number 7 is all about the lack of internal accountability. As a midlife woman using an old operating system, you're likely awesome about making commitments to others. But when it comes to making a commitment to yourself, even about going to bed on time, it can be more challenging. The example I always give to my clients is to think about the difference in commitment between picking up one of your kids from the airport at a certain day and a certain time versus going to the gym at a certain day and time. Is there a difference there? My experience is that it's probably more likely that you'll be on time at the airport for your kid every time, but the time that you're going to go to the gym or do anything else, anything that you made a commitment to yourself about would probably, you might open that door to drama. You might negotiate with yourself or decide that you can do it later, something like that. So it's really important to be very aware of internal accountability. Number 8, lack of current career goals. Now, I've noticed that in midlife, our goals aren't always updated the way they could be. Perhaps you haven't taken the time to really process what you want out of the way you make a professional contribution at this time of life. And this includes as an entrepreneur, as an employee, as a professional volunteer. It may have changed. You may be starting something new. You may want to wrap up something old. You may just want something different. You may want part-time. You may want retirement, those kinds of things. And it may also be affected by what else is going on in your family, with your older parents, with your in-laws, with your adult kids, and of course, grandchildren. So check in with yourself. What's going on with your career goals, your professional contribution goals? Where are you at with it? And number 9, no clarity around your dream lifestyle. Now, this one is similar to number 3, clarity around what you want, but this is more centered around your day-to-day. What is your ideal day like? Do you know? Do you think about what's possible? Is being joyful and experiencing pleasure part of your priorities for your day-to-day lifestyle? Do you have enough nature in your life, for example? Is that something you want? Are you making time for your relationships? If not, why not? Dialing this in is part of being a professional planner. It's always your thoughts. That is what's going to get in the way. So ask yourself, does it feel like it's extra in some way? If you feel like you're caught up in hustle culture, why is that? Do you think that this is the only way to work? Is this what work means to you, this lifestyle? If you want to work part-time, what does that mean for your career? If you want to live or spend time near the ocean so that you can take regular walks on the beach, are you also making plans with work to support that as a priority? It's so common not to be clear about what options you actually have to make amazing decisions that support you creating your dream lifestyle. And number 10, you're not actually living in the present moment. Are you aware of what it feels like to be present? There are a few common habits that will take you right out of the present moment. One of them is judging yourself. Now, I know you never do that. That's something you don't do, right? Another one is giving more importance and focus to completing a goal versus enjoying the process of getting there. And one more off the top of my mind is multitasking. Now, as a professional life planner, you can emphasize present moment functioning and create a life around this priority. This probably means slowing down, creating more pauses, doing fewer things at the same time, that sort of thing. And it will for sure need planning and awareness. So there you go. 10 concepts to get some thoughts brewing up there to get you started. Your midlife operating system tune-up will help you identify some of your mindset shifts needed to help you become the woman you want to be going forward. Your professional commitment to planning your life like a boss needs all of that and then some. So answering these questions and really considering these 10 concepts will help you start to dream a little bigger, imagine a bit more for yourself, and embrace possibilities that might bring you the happiness, fulfillment, and meaning that you're craving. But please remember, you're probably a midlife gal who loves planners as much as I do and as much as you love planning. So let's pause on that for a second. I myself am guilty of this. I buy planners, I love planners, and I like to plan, and I don't always use the tools I've invested in and resort to endless to-do lists that create stress. I love a to-do list, and it creates stress. Do you know why it creates stress? Because everything on the to-do list is never done. It's not based on results. It's just the endless list of things that you need to do or that you want to do. So excellent planning needs careful attention to two important phases. Once you have some clarity around what you want and a good understanding of the concepts I've shared, you still need to plan in advance and commit to the plan. Being an older and wiser woman, you know firsthand that great stuff doesn't just happen by accident. Waiting around doesn't create great stuff either. You have to plan in advance, even if the plan changes, and even if it's far in advance sometimes. The best story I have personally about this was planning 2 sailing trips with my kids, my young adults who were in 3 different universities. I had to book it 3 years in advance. 2 sailing trips booked 3 years in advance each. And, you know, the other thing that we needed to do was to look at going away during the Christmas week, which is, I would never have guessed in a million years that I would be traveling during Christmas week. It is super expensive and crowded, and I would never want to do that. But it was part of the plan to make this happen, and I also would have never guessed that I'd be planning trips 3 years in advance. But, you know, as a family, we really wanted to do this, and my husband and I really wanted to do it. We really wanted to create these memories. So it was a big investment of time and money. We had a serious talk with the guys and said, listen, we will do this if you commit. And they all said yes. I mean, I was anticipating a little bit more pushback, but I guess the trip, because they'd been on one of these trips before, it was just too good, and they know it. Plus, they were new to scuba diving, and they really wanted to get better at that. So now we have oodles of fantastic memories from sailing trips to Belize and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and our bathrooms are not renovated. We're still enjoying 1963. Anyway, once you get your plans done in advance, then you embrace them with commitment. Your commitment can't be the kind that comes from thinking, oh, this would be nice. That's like 80% thinking. No, it has to be 100%. The kind of thinking that sounds like, I know without a shadow of a doubt, this is happening. This is as good as done. You are crystal clear that you will not be opening the door to mental drama. You are dialed in. And that's what needs to be done. Plan in advance, commit to your plan. So there you have it. Some thoughts about you becoming a professional planner of your life. It's the perfect thing for you to do, retired or not, thinking about retirement or not, empty nest or not, pending empty nest or not, entrepreneur or not. In midlife, your plans can be vague. They can just be like a really cloudy day. Sometimes you don't even have plans. You can't even access the plan. It's like, I got nothing. I've heard that so many times. Empty pages in those planners that you like to collect. It is time to fill them up again, my friend. It's a beautiful act of self-care to create your life on purpose, become the queen of your brain domain, and rock at being the professional planner of your midlife and beyond. Have a good time with this. Have fun. Okay, that's it for this episode. As you know, this podcast is all about how to love your life again after 50. It's really all about coaching you to be more intentional and to incorporate mindfulness into your life as a regular practice. This is how you put yourself on your agenda. If you need help with thinking more intentionally about gratitude, aging, making a midlife transition, tweak, adjustment, or change yourself, and want to understand how mindfulness can help you get out of your own way so that you're happier overall, I'm your gal. It is way more fun to do this together. If you're ready to explore what coaching together might look like for you, either private or group, you're invited to book a Zoom call at www.talktosusie.com and we will chat. And finally, for show notes and links, Head over to www.susierosenstein.com and click the podcast tab and look for episode 379. You'll also see links there for the new show, Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs. Thanks so much for listening. It's time for you to put yourself first, one thought at a time. I'm Susie Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you next week.